Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 26th of April to the 3rd of May. And first, for the couple of videos that, like, I really don't want to give all of them, any of them are not good. I'm going to go decent with an asterisk, because there's things about it, I don't know. It's kind of weird. So this first one, it's from Noralities. So like, I had not avoided her channel at all. I was subscribed to it, I thought, and then I don't know. Her videos have never. I've always kind of like passed by them and stuff. They just never caught my attention or something. I don't know, but like I never covered her isekai video or her Dragon Maid video, both of which is more what people know her for now, and got a lot of notoriety and buzz. Not entirely in the best way, and it's interesting seeing all that happen and then none of it coming from Digest at all. But this video, I'm worried about cancel culture, is the first video I've watched from her. I didn't watch those other two videos just because like I wasn't as interested in the subject so much, but also just like I was hearing other people's reaction to it plenty, so I don't know. But let's just focus on this video. This is so she's wanted to make this video for a while, and I think it kind of jumped up her priority list after her Dragon Maid video blew up. I should have taken notes, honestly, not just of like the stuff of this video, but of the things I wanted to say about her stuff in general, because I do like what she's doing here. I'm not like completely against her videos the same way I think some other people are, but like there really is something to be said about the response her videos have gotten, to where I've already seen several people make response videos to her content, to specifically the isekai video, not even so much the Dragon Maid one, which this one is like, I guess that one was especially toxic for her and she had to have a response for, and like responding to comments sort of deal, and the prompting of this whole video. I saw more people taking more ire with her isekai video, actually, and I don't have any say in that at all because I haven't seen it, but that was something very surprising to me, that so many people were having such a strong reaction to somebody else's video that way, to the way they would be making their own videos. It's not every day that happens, and I never really had any feeling one way or the other, but it wasn't a great look when Pause and Select had a bit of a thread about an aspect of her video. It wasn't even about the whole video of her opinions on ReZero. That wasn't so much what he was focusing on, but it was more of her view of isekai as a whole genre, and how she's not really considering the huge female audience that isekai actually does have now, and a lot of its origins. And so his thread was, what kind of turned me off is that apparently his thread was brought to her attention and she responded to it kind of brushing it off entirely, not engaging with anything he's saying, thinking that she should stick to girl things and like inserting some weird things he never said, being very dismissive. It was a really disappointing response. So I got kind of like turned off from that, from her content. I was like, that's the kind of so I was, the Monday that this comes up after I finished doing last week's digest and this shows up, I've been kind of dreading it, actually. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, really, but I think she's making good points. I think the problem that people are that I think she's running into with this is her framing and the way she's doing this. So for one thing, the visual component and the way she's making these videos, it's not a experience in the same way. And I had this it's not like a problem so much, because this is an artistic thing. Making videos is wholly artistic, and there shouldn't be a right or wrong way to do it. But least more effective and least effective, or it's going to have this particular effect if you make these choices. I think the choices she was making, the lack of music, the lack of much of an aesthetic experience beyond her background that's kind of a looping animated thing, and then her avatar, and then showing off whatever examples and stuff, like that works for a lot of content creators because the meat of their videos is their script and their content. And if you can have a leg on that, then that's great. But I think there is something to be said about the presentation, and the way you present your arguments is just as important as the arguments themselves. And that was what I was sort of thinking about with the discussions I've had about hearing people talk about her content and having discussed it. And I'm like, it sounds like she has less of a content problem and more of a presentation problem. And not the way she's communicating these ideas, the choice of words, the repetitive images, all of it lacking to such a extent that all you're engaging with is her core ideas and core points. And I don't know. I think it could be better presented, I think. And it's very clear to me that her number one inspiration for making videos is Lindsay Ellis. She's also, and I was also feeling things with ContraPoints too, but mostly Lindsay Ellis. And she does directly reference Lindsay Ellis in this video twice, not just with like, hey, Lindsay Ellis had this great video on J.K. Rowling about whatever, but also like adopting one of her catchphrases she's coined in one of her previous videos that kind of got some traction, the "thanks, I hate it" type of thing. Except every time Noralities uses "thanks, I hate it," it's with such visceral emotion, and you can tell she is really bothered by these things, and she uses it as sort of a catch-all, like, "thanks, I hate it," it's a little intense. And now this is not something to be like, women shouldn't be intense or nothing like that. I would have a problem with this, with it, like, using emotion in your delivery of a script is calculative for any gender. It doesn't matter. If you're reaching for emotion and like you're starting to be more emotional, it has to reach a particular crescendo. You have to build your audience to that point. So you can't like just suddenly burst out crying like in the first 2 minutes of a video, unless the stuff you showed before is enough that it's like, oh, I understand why you're at that point. Case in point, let's talk about Lindsay Ellis with what she did recently with Mask Off, this incredible video, which she not only is addressing her recent thing and talking about this exact same subject of cancel culture, but also talking about her past transgressions. And it's way deep into the video where she starts talking about the rape rap, I believe. I don't know. I believe that's what it's called. And this whole thing, and she actually publicly gives this reason why she made it and the background of that. And it's so harrowing. And the way she eases you into that and works up into that emotion. So when she's having these really strong emotional moments on camera, you feel it and you get it. It's effective. It's not dropped on you like out of nowhere, So little moments like that, it can take an audience out of it if you're just if you're being hysterical, That's what it came off to me in some of these little pockets that Noralities has in this video, like toward like in the first third or something. She just kind of works up and goes kind of in a bit of a rant and then shuts it off and goes back to her normal cadence, which for the most part is really easy and relaxing and good, and it's not like, again, it's not like you can't get to those moments, but you really have to strategically structure them in a video. I'm talking all about presentation here. And I'm sorry I'm so much focusing on that because the content itself, like, I pretty much agree with, and I like her examples about Jaws. That was a really interesting example I had never heard of. Birth of a Nation was a fairly prominent, strong example. And she, the content itself is just, it's interesting. The Problematic Media and How to Deal thumbnail and the title, What I'm Worried About Cancel Culture, are sending two different messages. Like, yeah, you can have there is an intertwining to them that Noralities, I think, has a good reason for, but it is sending two different messages to me. And I think I really should have taken notes. This is all off script. If you happen to see this is all off script, and I'm not like... She talks a lot about doing the research. And really, if you really have something to say, you have to put the work in. And I think that's a noble cause, but a lot of people aren't at that point, or maybe they don't know how, or it's putting more effort than it's worth. I don't have that much of a beef or anything with I'm not trying to go after her or anything like that. So that's why I'm not trying to, this is not a scripted response video. Some people have made scripted response videos to her other content. And have made these other points and stuff, and they're willing to go that distance. And that's the interesting thing with there is something to that. I think if you're getting this much of a strong reaction negatively, just like, I don't know if people are making videos that are positively responding to her, maybe, but mostly it's disagreeing and criticizing the videos that she's been making. Very few content creators end up getting that sort of thing. I'm just doing this with like a lot of just talking about videos I've seen in a given week, and this is Digest's whole multifaceted thing. But this is not like a dedicated takedown of her video or anything. I do think the points she's making are good. I just think some of the devices, I think should be more paying more attention to stuff that Lindsay Ellis does and what ContraPoints does with their presentation. ContraPoints, and even Lindsay Ellis, change up their visual style every video. Like, yeah, like Lindsay Ellis is effectively in the same room, but all of her videos do have a different vibe, and she's framing them in different places. Jenny Nicholson, she's in the same room, but she has different plushes all throughout her. It's a subtle change, but it's things like that. And of course, ContraPoints is completely reinventing and having completely different costumes and sets and stuff. I'm not saying you have to go that far with doing that, but making each video distinctive is important. In kind of giving yourself a different vibe, and you're not in this. It doesn't feel like I have to watch the Dragon Maid video to watch this video. It was started to kind of feel like that. It seemed like intertwined, and you don't outright say that in this video. But anyway, I'm sorry if this commentary is all over the place. I don't really want to call it so much as criticism as much as it is being able to talk about it and discuss it. There's other things about this, like the use of data and the presentation of research that you have in this video. For one thing, on one hand, it's good because there's a lot of various things, and you are backing a lot of the things that you're saying. Not everything, because I was noticing you make this point of like female content creators, like female essayists are getting censored or bullied off the platform, and you just kind of say that without any where did that come from, and where's the source for that? You know what I mean? But on the other hand, with the amount of sources you're doing, and it's the same, it feels like a deluge of data points. And there's another content creator, Unique Namosaurus, who put out a video a week or two ago, patrons me, and I've edited videos for him, so we're buds and stuff. And I liked that video on, he did it all about IP law and giving a bunch of information about it and providing it with examples and giving evidence to support his claim. There was something about it, and with this video too, that it was just like a lot of different little points that I can't describe it. There's a vibe that's like, it doesn't feel concentrated. It feels very spread thin, and it's like you're not going deep enough. Like you're not giving us all of the information from just the source. You're kind of just it feels like cherry picking. Look, there's a little data point that supports my point kind of deal, and it's not as thorough. To contrast with Lindsay Ellis or ContraPoints, and I might be might just be a headcanon, not actually true sort of thing. There's something about their videos that when they are citing a source or giving a particular, giving certain evidence, it's either tweets, which like there's only so much there because it's just a tweet, or when it's an essay, it feels like they're going to spend a chunk of the video on this book or on this essay, and it's dedicated. It feels thorough. It feels like they're using this. They're isolating their point, whatever they're making, whatever idea they have, to this one source and extrapolating it far enough to, you know what I mean? When you're pulling so many data points of different things and focusing, like giving a a rapid fire of different examples, it does seem like you're proving your point more, but it also feels like overload to the audience, and it doesn't feel like you're I don't know. There's a choice about that. It's not a wrong choice, because the thing with art, right? It's a matter of more effective or less effective choice that ultimately you're getting the audience on your side, right? You're convincing them of your argument, and yeah, it's all about your delivery and tone. There are some points in this video where you kind of go a little crazy, and it sounds very condescending, and and obviously you're kind of looking down on these comments that are looking down on you, because it's contemptuous. It's the grumpiness. If you get a negative comment, you're gonna feel kind of shitty. I feel that all the time, with comments that I get. But it felt like that bled into this video. You know what I mean? And it wasn't all that additive. I don't know. There's other things like, yeah. I'm thinking of other things. I'm sorry I didn't take any notes or anything, but yeah. Yeah, there was just some confusing things with the presentation of it, where there's like a difference with your background that's animated with your avatar. And for one thing, that sometimes the avatars like pose, I think particularly like this one, like when she's going like this, there was a lot of mixed like, what tone are you setting here? And does it feel condescending, and like, what are you getting at? Even the face in this thumbnail, it kind of agitates. I'm like, what are you trying? What expression is this making? You know what I mean? It kind of has to be clear to the audience, and so that way the emotions, because this is as much of an emotional thing as it is about facts and logic and blah blah blah. Because humans themselves, they're emotional creatures. We do respond to an emotion. You kind of have to have both when you're presenting a video like this, in my opinion. But then like there's a different set of drawings with like a green background, and just like some of the expressions there also feel very smug and kind of pretentious, a little condescending. There's something about them, and I don't know. It's hard, because Lindsay Ellis and ContraPoints have also come off as smug and pretentious at periods, but I can't really describe. I don't know what it is that makes it land. For ContraPoints, there's always a lot of self-deprecation. There's a lot of like offhand, like obviously she's in this like incredibly ornate background, and then she's like making an offhand joke to the camera, because she has like her editor or her co-writer, whoever's helping her film this. She's kind of joking with her in the middle of the video. She leaves those little bits in. That sort of like transparency, those sort of things kind of de-escalate, and she's not trying to she doesn't come off as pretentious to me. Even her delivery of other things, it's like it's a presentation, it's a choice. This always feels very authentic, and to your feelings of this subject and things. And while authenticity is certainly an important factor for YouTube videos, there is something to be said about like kind of feeling like you're looking down on some people. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't like give a particular moment where that moment felt condescending or anything like that. But there are moments like that. And I can tell there are other moments where you sound really sincere and really caring about this. And I really like the points you were making in those moments too. I think it was landing it for most of the video. There's just points about it that I'm like, right, I can see why people turn off completely when with that the way that comes off. It's all about the delivery and the presentation of it. And when it's so minimalist like your videos are, that's all they can really, there's no emotional thing. It's all the content, and then you make up one mistake, and then it's, and I feel like YouTube, commenters are going to feel that way either way. Like you'll mispronounce a name or do some other dumb thing, and YouTube comments are going to be YouTube comments. I get it. But I think there is something to be said about the number of times I've seen people quote tweeting or like getting viral tweets over like an outrageous thing you're saying in your video. Like I feel discouraged for you doing that. I don't want you to get burnt out. I don't want any creator to get burnt out. And I was happy in this video to hear that like you were getting burnt out until the Dragon Maid video got so popular and you got like a newfound audience. And it seems like the majority of people are championing you. Your like-dislike ratio is not that bad, you know, and so that's good. And I'm happy you're developing an audience like that. But I'm hoping that these sorts of videos, it's not like, I would hope that, I'm looking forward to the Sailor Moon video, for example, that you mentioned at the end of the video. You know, I'm hoping you would mostly be doing that sort of stuff. And yeah, I ultimately agree with your point that problematic media is something that we can talk about. I just think the word problematic media, you just have to understand that like people don't like it when you call it that because it has all these connotations, and you're saying it shouldn't have these connotations, yet it does. So it's like you got to kind of go with understand what the mass people understand, right? And it's like, oh, I'm not gonna. So don't. It's like if problematic media is gonna kind of other people or it's gonna trigger people, right? Even like, you know, that's sort of a weird thing, right? I don't know. Then just don't use that language. You know what I mean? You can still talk about it. It's all about the framing. I think it is true that you can talk about these problematic elements and still, and it's not like you watch the show, you're a bad person. The things you're claiming in this video, like, yeah, I agree with. But it's the framing of this. It's how you're giving this argument to the audience is really important. And it's something that I'm going to have to really consider with a video that I'm working on right now that has potentially triggering and inflammatory responses and it's going to get people riled up or whatever. And it's like, well, no matter how I say it, it's going to get people are going to get riled up. You never know. It's still you're actually going to earn the respect of some of these people if you're like, well, they tried. Like, it's, you know, I don't know. I feel like it's worth doing, even if it's like, well, you know, who cares? You know, I don't want to have that mentality personally. It's like, try your best to be as accommodating to as many people to really like, to get more people on your side. You know what I mean? Because yeah, like all these response videos and the response that I've seen you've been getting, I would not wish that on anybody. And I would hope that doesn't discourage you from not making content anymore. Is what I'm hoping for. Yeah, that's kind of what I would be saying. Sorry if it seems very messy. Also, I did comment on your video with my main account. I appreciated the playlist at the end about female content women essayists. You got a really great people in there, and you know your shit. You got a Marion B video in there. You got a Best Sonozaki video in there. Got an Island video in there. Zeri and Pedantic, you know, like, let's go. You know, I'm happy to see that. Two more I would want to steer your way. That both of them put out videos this week that I'm going to talk about later. Hazel and Lines in Motion, both of them really great content creators. Please check them out. They were great too. They put out really good videos this week too. I'll talk about those later. But yeah, that was kind of the weird feelings I had about this video. I'm like, man, I think I see what's going on. I think it would pay to look a little closer at the way Lindsay Ellis makes her videos, and do better in your personal craft, and not just by the things that she's saying, but the way she's presenting them. So I'm pretty sure they asked permission to do this. MizukiBlox, I feel like they commented, and that was why I know their channel, because they're very small. They put out 2 videos this week, and this one is, I'm just putting the sicko mode edit in one, because I'm like, oh boy, a Joe AMV, I love those. And then like the majority of the video is my Joe AMV, but like it's just my Joe AMV, but not like all of it. Like it's this one has like the first half ish, and then the other one has the second half in its other one, and they don't credit it in the description. There's no credit of where they got that footage from. I'm pretty sure somebody asked me like, if I use your AMV in a video, would you be okay with it? And I said yeah. But I feel like I also told them to link it in the description. I feel like that happened. If I didn't, cool. I'm not like mad. I'm not telling you to take the video down. And I'm putting it in decent with an asterisk because it's like, yeah, I like Joe AMVs. And the thing is, right? Like these video the song choices, Sicko Mode and Tie Me Down or Bring Me Down or something, they're cool, and I think they would be cool AMV-able songs. I would love to like a lot of the quick beats of some of these and the way the songs sound. I feel like even with Joe, I think it's a decent pick to song, animate a song choice. But it's just like, why just use my AMV like that? And you have access to Joe footage because the beginning of the AMV is not my AMV. It's footage that I didn't use. And then you're like kind of using it in that little bit, and then it's my AMV, and it's not timed all that. It's kind of timed okay. There's little bits that you kind of chopped up a little bit, but like, what? And it's also the other idea of well, it's not, I don't own the Joe footage or anything like that. Well, who am I? But it's like, it's the sequence of the events. Like it's the sequence of and the timing. Like that, it's the same thing. And the same transition too. Like there's like a kind of like a lens like a zoom lens sort of weird effect in one of them. And like that literally isn't my, what? It's just confusing. It's just odd. And it's okay, but like, put me in have it in the description at least. I don't know. That was weird. I don't know if this is using this as a call out. I just wanted to talk about it. I didn't want to be like, the part of the reason I make digest is so that like I'm able to talk about them in a video format like this, and not just like with somebody on Discord or posting it on Twitter or something like that. I wanted this as my own way of doing it. So that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm not being like, hey, take the video down. Hey, credit me or else or anything like that. I'm just like, huh? It's just strange. It's just strange. Anyway, cool though. That it's flattering in a way. So yeah, that's cool. And here's the other one that like, I don't want to call it not good because I think there's something going on here. I just don't know what's going on here. So My Hero Notebook has had a more intense than usual asking to be on Digest. Some people want to be on Digest and stuff, and they're waiting, and they always be like, oh, I didn't get on again or something. And there's nothing too wrong with that, but it's just like, and then, but he's been a little adamant on it, and he's like, come on, man. And it's like, okay, I am subscribed to both Hero Notebook and his secondary channel, which was weird because like he uploaded like just the 30-second intro to this video, to this 11-minute video on his second channel, and then that's it. So this is about Kirishima Trader 2021 My Hero Academia manga theory. The other thing about this is I don't care about this subject, even remotely. Like I have less interest. I'm not going to click on it otherwise. But he was really adamant on getting on Digest. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And what the fuck is this? So phenomenal editing, actually. I thought there was a lot of really cool stuff, constantly reinventing, really keep engaging in a visual manner, but like it came off kind of nonsensical to me. I was like, I'm not like that in the dark about Hero Academia, but what is he talking about? Like, what does this have to do with Kirishima? Like, he has like an opening story about like about like betrayal or theory crap. I think the idea of theories, I guess. And he had like this story of 1969 and some guy, you think that there's water underground and people don't believe you, so you start digging for water, and then other people help you, and then there's water, and you're treated as a hero. And I'm like, what does this have to do with what you're talking about? Where is I think it was like, oh, it's about and here's the thing, right? I'm sure I'm about to get a comment from you right now after this video comes out of like, you see, I can explain every point of this video. and I know you're going to do that because you do that at the end of this video where you stop doing the kind of the theatrics and stuff and a lot of text on screen and the way it's, and you know how like some people like the editing, it's like breadsword. It almost reminded me of breadsword editing where the sentence is like one word at a time on the screen and it's really engaging in that way or something like really overly flashy. Right. And I think it's intentional. I think you're trying to, I think it's a parody. I think this is a joke. I think you're being like, haha, like no one knows. And you say this at the end being like, I'm making this all flashy for this and this reason. And you're not saying outright it's a joke, but I think you're saying like, I don't know the answers. The traitor videos have gotten out of hand. And that idea I like. And that's cool. But the majority of the video I was not clear. So I'm not going to talk about Eyepatch Wolf's video on Space Jam 2 this week. I just happened to not finish it, but like I also figured it's not as much like anime related, and I already have a lot of videos talking about this week. But that video, he is doing this theatrical thing, like it's a silly like, oh, it's my conspiracy type of video, and there's a tongue-in-cheekness to it that he's going with, and there's certain things that he's doing that makes you realize, oh, okay, it's a joke, you know? And I can't tell you what that line is. I can't tell you what you can do to make this more obvious or less obvious. But I'm pretty sure if I sent this video, I thought I was crazy. I thought I was taking crazy pills watching this video because I couldn't follow most of it. And like, I didn't know what it had to do with Kirishima. Like, it just kept bringing it back to Kirishima, and I'm like, what is this? And I think it is. I think there is a whole rationale behind it, but the point is, I didn't get it. I don't get it. And I know that some ulterior motive because you're literally like breaking the fourth wall at the end of this video and like being like, oh, you see, I did that last part. Let's rewind all the, you know, and doing this very transparently. There is something to that. I'm just kind of a dumb viewer, I guess, because I don't know what the heck that was. But the technical craft on display is pretty cool. I was really impressed, actually. It was sick. I thought it was really, really cool. But, like, the actual things that was happening, I was like, what? Like, I think if those of you would check out this video, you know, see what you think of it. But I feel like you'd have the same reaction of just like, what? I don't know. It was certainly bizarre. It gave me, it's certainly a definable experience. There are other videos that some that I watched this week actually that I'm just like looking at it. It's like, I don't actually have anything to say about it. So I'm not going to talk about it. So then here it's like, yeah, I can't not talk about this because that is a very bizarre video there. Something interesting. But yeah, I can't fully get on board with it because I'm still kind of baffled by it, to be honest with you. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was me ranting of how baffled I am for 10 minutes. Is what it is. You finally made it on Digest. Cool vid. Interesting. That's the rest of them. I'm featured on a podcast this week. Came out today, actually. The 8th episode of the Newtypes, Newtype podcast, and they wanted me on to talk about Getorobo. And Lone Crit, one of the hosts, also had just finished Mobile Suit Gundam, the original, literally like that day. Like he had just finished it. So we wanted to talk about that. So we were just kind of gushing about various little aspects, and it was a very natural conversation, and like I really felt welcomed by it because it felt just like nerding out about particular aspects, and it's not trying to be like getting down to the bottom of this series or something like that. I really liked the banter the four of us were having of like, oh yeah, remember that moment? I was like, yeah, and then like, oh, you're gonna love this, and yeah, that camaraderie was really cool. It felt like a genuine like a Discord sort of thing, and it wasn't like we were recording a podcast the same way. I really like that natural feel that they have here, and also their humor is just very kind of corny and over the top. They had like an opening sketch that like they didn't really tell me what was going on, what was going to be, so it kind of came off a little like awkward and funny. Um, but it was funny. It was charming in my opinion. Also, we talk about Gaim a little bit, and that was only because I had tweeted about it. I quoted like, finally I saw some Gaim on my timeline because I happened to be watching it. I didn't tell anybody else. And then Locrit's like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, oh, and then it's like, you gotta watch it, dude, because he's like, I only watched like a quarter of it. I'm like, I'm ahead of you on it. Like, what do you mean? It was a whole thing. But yeah, it was fairly balanced. It was the longest episode for them, I think, so far. But that's okay because we wanted to talk about the things they've always said. It's like, oh, we didn't get to talk about the thing I wanted to talk about because we got so wrapped up in this other thing and whatever. So they made sure that the specific subjects they wanted to talk about were talked about. So that was cool. It came out as well as we were hoping, I think, and they seemed to enjoy it. So good time. Take a listen to that if you after this, if you're looking for more of my voice. I was recommended Even Idiots Can Make Anime. They have like a second video. I think this is kind of like a recurring, like a serialized type of series. Serialized series. Ah, yes, of course. This video is called Choosing an Anime Genre. I didn't watch the first one, but I watched this one, and I guess it's sort of like taking the conceit of two friends who want to make an anime. They love anime, and they want to make their own. And one of them's sort of like the encyclopedic expert and kind of doing the lecture of sorts, talking about genre. And the other one is like the little sidekick type of thing. And he's like, I got this wacky idea, and it's combining a bunch of genres. And he's like, you can't do that. And a little bit of a banter. It's animated too, and decently, because they got like full lip flaps here. I was surprised that like a good bulk of it is talking about Slam Dunk, oddly enough, because I'm just watching that now. I'm almost done with the anime, and like them talking about it kind of in detail. I was like, oh, huh. Yeah, and I thought they had a fair, very surface level talk about genre in anime. It didn't feel like they got anything outright wrong, or they were making any outlandish claims. They not like to the point where they need to source things. It didn't feel, amorphous. Like I think a lot of anime videos can kind of come off as like, oh, you didn't really look into it, did you? But I do like the fan question at the end was kind of a highlight for me, because they have a very specific question about character designs, and it's like, what would you rather do, a more detailed one? Like, where's the line between what's considered simple and detailed? And they kind of gave a lot of various examples, and they didn't dissuade one or the other. They were more like, it's all what you want to go for. If you do this is the things that it will require. If you do more detailed things, you need a lot more work. And if you do something simple, it's much easier. Those kind of things. So that was nice. I actually really liked that video. So I'll be keeping subscribed. Not like I unsubscribed to someone if they have a not good video or something, but like, yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on them. And that seemed like fun. It was a good vid. A little essay video from FlipAnime talking about the pain of the anime rival. You fail. Look at, I can't see the thumbnail from here because it says like big watch. You know how it is with YouTube. But it's talking about the concept of rivals as the number two, and the Vegeta can't beat Goku, Kaiba can't beat Yugi. I guess Sasuke can't beat Naruto, but their dynamic is a lot more complicated than who can win in a fight. It's less about that, because Sasuke's goal isn't necessarily to beat Naruto as it is to beat Itachi, to kill Itachi for his whole thing with revenge and stuff. And Naruto is simply a way to get him stronger. I think there's just more nuance to that one. But anyway, I like the conclusion here where it's like, it shouldn't be about who's number two and seeing yourself as the rival or something and can't match up to this person. You shouldn't think that in those terms, black and white. There's more nuance to it. And, I like the moral of that. I also really liked the basketball comparisons, starting with a Kevin Durant quote, and then ending it with a story about this guy, Big Boy, I think, who has more championship rings than Michael Jordan. and not because he's the best, but because he happens to be on good teams and doesn't see himself, doesn't strive to be. He's in a good sweet spot where he's a decent player. He's actually like, he's not the best. He's not striving for the best because it has its own drawbacks and things like that. I liked the video. I thought it was simple, focused, and not trying to shoot for any big moon thing. And I liked the message at the end. Yeah, I liked the video. Nice. I don't watch a lot of Billiam. These are just big videos, and I don't know. But like he often just talks about, he's talked about anime a couple of times, specifically the stuff that's like on Cartoon Network and like, remember this as a kid kind of deal. So here's talking about Bobobo. I don't know if I did that right. I know probably. I really do want to watch it. It sounds great. What's so weird is his video, and he's it kind of goes episode by episode talking about it and describing the jokes and why the things he found funny about it. I don't know if it needed to be this long, but it certainly was entertaining because the show itself is entertaining. I don't know if it was so much of his delivery as it was like the choice of the frame and using the show as the vehicle for the content, I guess. He's not over, I guess you could argue it, he's not upstaging the content, I guess. But like, I mean, isn't that why we watch YouTube videos for we're like, I would watch a Kodiko video and he upstages all the things that he's talking about, or Drew Gooden, right? You're really watching it for the entertainment value of those creators and not so much the content itself. But I think that's mostly because Billiam's not talking about it in a negative skewed. He's more like, this is so fun. This is kind of a weird thing. But he seems to have a good sense of humor and good delivery and camera presence. So I enjoyed the video good enough. I'm not sure if it needs to be that long, and it did feel very much like a lot of the clips of the show kind of deal. But yeah, I thought it was fun. It was a nice time. I was recommended this other video, The Vile Eye, Analyzing Evil Tetsuo Shima from Akira, and I looked at his channel, and this is pretty much all that the guy does. Vile Eye, pretty much every video focuses on a particular character in media. It seems to go from beginning to end of like their arc and stuff, and kind of like analyzing evil. You see, not being so much of like, this is why they're evil. That's why people perceive them to be evil, and it's more talking about how they got to that point and the things that they do and why people would see it that way, and kind of just talk. I don't know. The character analysis it didn't feel overbearing. I really liked how content focused it was, like very hyper focused on Akira. And I also like the treatment of the movie with the comics. There is with the manga, there is a distinguishing that he does, where it's like, this is not as developed in the movie. This is more of what happens in the manga, type of thing like that. But I never felt like I was such an intrusive comparison type of thing, or putting down one or the other at all. It just was just like, here's this little minor nuanced differences in case like people just know the movie and he's talking about something from the manga. They're like, wait, that didn't happen in the movie. It just seemed very upfront like that. It didn't feel like a typical YouTube video. I think this was very meticulously written. I really liked it, actually. The analysis, I think, was really sound. I had not actually read the Akira manga, but it just seemed like it was very focused on just the character. And his wording was really precise. The delivery is also really interesting because it's very neutral and like at a particular range, and it keeps at that range the entire time. And there's something almost sinister about it, but not sinister enough. It's a really interesting presentation. And it's just sharp. I was actually really surprised. This is the first time he's talked about an anime or manga character. But the other videos, I was like, this is interesting. I would love to hear him talk about other villains from any other media, not just like, oh, and I want to talk about Griffith, something like that. I mean, that would be cool. Although I don't know if he would actually do that, because what I really liked about this analysis was how holistic it was. It really was from beginning to end, covers the whole thing. It doesn't waste any time. It feels like it's a warranted length. It didn't feel like 17 minutes, actually. It kind of goes by. It's good. Yeah, I just have a lot to praise about this video, actually, more than I thought I did. But yeah, it was an enjoyable experience. It was an enjoyable experience. I got two interviews that came out this week that are on YouTube, but like also other places like SoundCloud and their own websites and stuff. First, from Toonami Faithful, the Toonami Faithful podcast exclusive interview with Jason DeMarco. Jason DeMarco, kind of one of the head people of Toonami, one of the producers of like Uzumaki and things like that, and talking about the programming block. Not so much of its history or anything like that, because I think they've interviewed him a couple of times by this point, and this is like all their podcast does and stuff. So they're more talking about the current state of Toonami, how it's been during the pandemic, what Jason DeMarco's work habits have been like, and what's changed. How is the block dealt with the pandemic? It felt like more of an update type of thing, and not like, and he wasn't there to drop any news either. They had like a news, apparently some news had come out that like very, very soon after and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, I completely forgot we were announcing that because it's been in the works for so long, kind of deal. And I sympathized with that angle. But it was very down to earth. I really liked how informed and focused the hosts were, and it was mostly question focused. It's only 28 minutes. They don't waste his time. They don't waste our time. It was really sharp and good. I really enjoyed it. And the other interview was by Anime News Network, talking to LaShawn Thomas, who is the creative force. I guess director really of Yasuke, the new Netflix series with the Black Samurai, and yeah, that interview was so important, I think, to get into his perspective of making this series. That I think a lot of people, if people who watched Yasuke and have kind of problems with it, because the two biggest things I've seen of people not totally vibing with it is the presence of magic and mecha, where this is a historical figure, and the other being it's only 6 episodes. Why is it this weird length? And it doesn't feel long enough, but it's not a movie either. And both of those are explainable, but it's completely intentional choices. I really liked LaShawn Thomas's answers about both of those. In particular, the magic and fantasy thing is like, the magic and fantasy stuff was because Yasuke is a historic figure, but there's not a lot that's concretely known about him, and they didn't feel like it was their place to give that biopic and really go in and give that treatment. They would want other people to do that, but their focus was making this guy a known name, like people know about this guy, and you do that by making an entertaining narrative and having a lot of fun action and things like that. And as an anime, you're able to play with a lot of elements and have these cool things to make it fun and entertaining, and that was more of their goal, so much as a historical biopic type of thing. And like, I don't know if anime fans really know what they're asking for when they're doing that, because I just recently watched a movie that Osamu Dezaki actually directed, but it's a very, very unknown film, and it only just got subbed like a couple months ago, and I watched it right as it had gotten subs, and I hadn't heard of it before that, and that was how I found out. I was like, oh, we just subbed this. I was like, whoa. And it was a biopic of a particular Japanese figure, and it was just really boring. It wasn't even so much of his Dezaki's direction and stuff that was all there, but like it wasn't all that compelling. I think there is something to be said of like, you kind of have to. I think it's cool that LaShawn Thomas decided to make him a figure first, than like trying to be as accurate and faithful and trying to get to the bottom of his whole story and stuff like that. I think there's a difference in intention here, and it is telling that Mal's apparently Mal, it's like a 6 on Mal. And it's because he actually says, it's like, I'm not making this for hardcore anime fans. I'm not appealing to them. I'm appealing to the mass market. We're trying to get it on Netflix. We got Lakeith Thomas, and people will be like, oh, Lakeith Thomas is in this. I'll watch it because he's in this, sort of deal. And that was the draw. That was the appeal, and the reason for that. And that's more of that's like their prerogative and their focus. And I think it's important hear those perspectives. I also liked what he talked about with him growing up on old OVAs, and he likes shorter stories like Crying Freeman and Bubblegum Crisis and things like that. Stuff that, like, you know, it's just short, sweet, and like just a compact experience. Maybe not a holistic experience, you know. I think that this dissatisfaction that people would have with those OVAs probably have the same dissatisfaction with Yasuke, funny enough. But LeSean Thomas is taking that particular choice and that not risk so much, but just like yeah, I'll embrace those shortcomings with it. Pretty much is kind of what I got out of it. And I just really like the banter with the interviewer too, and being like, yeah, I might not be liked for saying this, and you know, I really liked that it felt candid. It didn't feel like a press release, you know, and like, tell us only good things, you know what I mean? It didn't feel corporate in that way. It felt more like, you know, this was my reason for making it, and our thought process here, and it felt very authentic and risky and interesting. I don't know. I just really liked the interview. It was awesome. And Funimation, I guess this is also an interview of sorts. I actually realized, I was like, I guess this is technically a third interview, but it's less of the purpose of like, this is an interview. It just happens to have interviews in it. This is the Wano Watch Party recap with special guest interviews, and I guess it's like a re-upload. I guess they stream this somewhere else on like Twitch or something. I don't know, and it's like a watch party, I guess. But this has Justin Rojas, who, like, I thought he left Funimation. I guess he's back. I didn't know. I thought that was great. It's great to see him back because he's a great fit here, and he's a great presence and a lot of energy and thoughtfulness. I think he's a great face for the company and you know, what he used to do. I don't know. I guess it's maybe a different role or a temporary role or something like that. But he's on Funimation's account on the channel, so that's great to see personally. And it also has Rogers Base on it. I am subscribed to Rogers Base. I just don't talk about much of his content because, you know, he's talking about One Piece. I haven't seen One Piece, right? But I watched this because it was like, what is this? And also special guest interviews. That's interesting. So, for one thing, I really liked Roger and Justin, the way they talked about the series, and they had like a banter and stuff. It was a little scripted and kind of stiff and everything in places, but especially Roger's. They're going to have a Roger rant, and they give him 60 seconds, and he gushes about this episode of One Piece really passionately and authentically. It felt really nerdy, and as a One Piece fan sort of thing, it felt very visceral. I just thought that was a great, you know, I don't want to say performance because it makes it come off as fake, but it is a performance. It is performative to, off the top of your head, do this like rant for 60 seconds and have it come off really genuine. And I thought he did a great job with that. But then the bulk of the video are 3 different interviews with the seiyuu for Luffy, the seiyuu for Zoro, and the director of One Piece, of Wano specifically, and the reason it looks so freaking good, Nagahime, I believe is his name. Might be wrong about that. Sorry. But that particular director. So I'd never heard of. I had heard his name before, but I'd never heard an interview with him yet, and that was really fascinating. Him talking about the OP. And he's like, yeah, I made that myself, and it was not just to be like a trailer for the whole arc, but also to inspire the staff, being like, this is the new direction we're going with One Piece. This is what we're bringing to it. Like a kind of a newfound energy, and it's very obvious to anybody who's been paying attention with One Piece. Like it had looked one way for a very long time, and suddenly it's got this glow up. It looks amazing. And it's a lot thanks to this director. And so it was like, this is where I'm, you know, it's the staff to kind of like, this is where we're going and to inspire them. And that was really great to hear. Really great interviews here with all 3 of them, and really fun questions. And again, I thought Justin and Roger, you know, despite not being there, right, you know, they felt like really good hosts. And I liked like after they had each interview, they were like, wow, that was really, I was like, oh, that was really fun. And not like fake. They were addressing the things that they said in the interview as if they just watched the interview with us. And like, that's so genuine. Like, it felt so authentic and like fun. I was like, that was really well done. It's a really well made like party. Want to watch a party. I don't know if they do this every week, But like that's all. There's a bit of a corporate thing going on with like, hey, you watch it on all these sites, you can purchase the series on these sites, kind of thing. And they're promoting it in such a way, but they're thanking Toei Animation and stuff, and it's all through official channels. But it was similar to what I said about Crunchyroll last week, where it's like, this is the sort of thing you can bring. This is what you can deliver. And maybe it does take an extra amount of resources on your end, but this is something only Funimation can do. This is something only Crunchyroll can do. Similar to any independent content creator. That's why I think that a lot of us encourage being personal in your videos and giving personal examples and experiences, because it's like, that's only something you can bring, right? So it's something why people would come to your channel. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I know. I've always been weirdly positive with Funimation videos lately. It's a good feeling. I'm such a corporate shill. Whew. And now what I thought were the best videos of the week. And first one's from Otaku-Vs. Yeah. Oh, man. This was so cool. There's a bonus Oda-chan episode. Their latest episode, I think episode 5, isn't done yet. And so they decided to kind of make something to hold the fans over, I guess. And this is really good, actually. I thought it was really a smart idea to have a bunch of different animators and guest people come in, having a Japanese seiyuu voicing Oda-chan, and I was wondering if she also helped with the writing of this episode too, because just the way that it's paced and like formatted, it's not even just the fact that it sounds Japanese because it's the Japanese language, but this the sentence structure and just like the way the storytelling goes in some of these sketches, it feels very authentic to actual anime like sketches like this, like very like sketchy, like here's the boom, like the title, and here's the generic whatever sketch. But I thought it was a really great idea to take that format that's very common in anime and having it as a different animation style by kind of like a Game Grumps animation collab felt kind of like that. It was funny, of course, and just creative, and again the ads weren't very intrusive at all. I thought the music was good. I was like, where are the credits for the music in the description? And I knew you'd have the credits at the end, and you did, but like I would have like, especially that one track towards the end, it was like a rock one. It was like a really good track. I was like, damn, can I get a link to that? Or whatever. I was staring at the description. I'm like, where can I get the link to those things? But anyway, not a minor qualm, but what it is. You still credited them at the end. But yeah, really funny, really awesome, and a really great idea to kind of bode the audience over. I hope this. It seems to have a fairly positive response so far. And I'm echoing it. I can't think of anything different. Like, who's going to get mad at, like, where's the episode? You know what I mean? Especially when you're being so transparent. I also like the authenticity with it, where it's like, yeah, we're going to try to do regular updates. I wonder how long that will last. Yeah, it is, the reality of updates, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, where's the update? You know what I mean? Yeah. Can't stop smiling. I really like this. I really like this choice you guys did. That was a good video. Good video. And you know who's fucking back? Fucking HazelNeverTalks. Let's fucking go. 184732. I think it's a time code of sorts, and referring to something in the anime here. Let me look up what. I'm so jazzed right now. Feeling good. Let me look up what the name of the anime was that she took from this. The description was very helpful. I'm happy she wrote about this, because otherwise I would have no idea. And it was a really great idea. Iria no Sora. And like, I had never heard of this show. Of course, it seems like a 2000s. I don't know if it's like a VN or something. Like I didn't even put it in my plan to watch, because I should, because it's like, well, it is really interesting. But what Hazel did with this video, it's a 10-minute video. It felt similar to her first video way back, where it felt kind of like a trailer for the episodes of Doremi, like Hosoda's episode 40 and 49. Similar to that, except it was a lot more letting the dialogue play out, and letting the scenes, showing you these particular scenes. And, there's certain moments where it's like, is that her edit or is it part of the show? And there's no way of telling. And then towards the end, like I like that she linked the songs into the description too, because then it was you're able to be like, oh, okay, so this is something you did add. And then towards the end, I think it's at like the 9-minute mark is where she really kind of reveals herself and emerges. Like it felt like an emerging from the show and the presentation, kind of stepping from behind the curtain, and doing these really similar stuff that she's done, a lot of crazy overlays. I don't know how the hell she did this white purple, manipulating the footage that way. I don't know if that's how it is originally in some way. There's a lot of mysterious things here, like the clock and stuff, and the dialogue choices and things like that. It really felt like kind of emblematic of the show, but a lot of different scenes played out, and I liked that because I think a lot of us are like, let me tell you about this show. Here's what it's about. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us get hooked onto a show for content. Just seeing a screen cap or seeing the OP, and AMVs like this, where like it doesn't even feel like an AMV really. I just really liked it. Very inventive, different, challenging, interesting, fucking dope, really cool. And I'm so happy it's back after a couple months not posted. I think she's not on social media either. Miss her, even though it's always like you never know you get it until it's gone, sort of deal. Like the way Hazel would post on Twitter, it was always very overbearing, and it's like, oh yeah, she's online. And it was very like all the time, the TL and stuff. If you followed her, but I do miss it actually. I do miss her on Twitter. Sometimes it was kind of overbearing, but man, you do feel that presence sometimes. It's like, man, I miss it. Oh well, it is what it is. I hope she's doing better, feeling better about stuff. I actually wasn't feeling good about it. Happy to see this. This was really sick. This was really, really cool. And another Hazel in Digest this week. Just Hazel this time. Why did we like Elfin Lied? 2 hours. It was like, all right, I'm going to probably forget a lot of the things about these other videos if I watch this one last. Like the way I watch YouTube video, the way I watch the Digest videos is I order them by length and watch the shorter ones first and the last ones last, kind of deal. But when they're this long, when they're 2 hours, I'm like, I'm gonna do that one first, and then do the rest of these. So, first big thing I wanted to say, boy, this feels like an Action Button reviews. In particular, the thing that tipped me off by it is the use of the camera, which I don't think she's done in other videos. I don't know if I didn't see it in her Grell video, but this was the first time I had actually seen her. I mean, her face is the profile picture, so it's not like a face reveal or anything like that. But there was a thing where she has like a green screen room, and I like that she explained how she was able to get it. Like she works at this place, but she does the thing where she's talking at the camera with a green screen and stuff, and then sometimes there's a second camera here, and she's talking at this camera still, and it's like it's like the way an interview plays sometimes, it feels to make it more cinematic, have an alternate shot kind of deal. I was like, that's right out of Action Button. And like a lot of the interweaving with personal stories and a lot of the cheekiness, there was a lot to it that felt like an Action Button video. And cool. I had problems with his Tokimeki Memorial video, but otherwise it's a interesting, I not like I don't, it's like, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, reminded me of that, and I really like, I like that style at least, because it feels like it's very deliberate and specific. So like, I liked the transparency at the beginning, where she's like, this is not a review, I've never rated anything, I'm not trying to say what's good or bad, we're just talking about it and coming to this idea of why it got so popular the way it did. What about this attracts people, and who does it attract, and trying to be like, I really liked the effort being made about this show was more successful more popular in the West than it was in Japan. There's no real way to prove that. No easy way to prove that, and she deliberately says that and says, I'm just going to go with as much anecdotal evidence as I possibly can. And I really like the commentary on goth culture and how the majority of them are women. I like how it's like, oh yeah, all these bands are guys, but you know who's going to those bands? You know who's going to those concerts? I really appreciated those sorts of things. The best part of the video, I thought, was her big chunk just talking about her adolescence and her relationship with some of these people and how she learned about how she became ingrained in the internet culture. That history was interesting and unique. And you don't hear that sort of thing from other videos and stuff. And it was personal. So I really liked it. And the effects here and having the cropped 4:3 and various choices there were really interesting. And I was liking the chunk where she's talking about other anime that are similar to Elfen Lied in terms of like girl suffering, and she has being like subjugated by an agency or whatever, and she's talking about Gunslinger Girl and School Days and some of these other things. Although at School Days, not a great look to be like, I only watched the last episode and then making these assumptions about School Days when it's like And I was also really disappointed in your discussion of Narutaru. You had like the English title using it for it, but I was looking forward to hearing somebody talk about that show because I hadn't heard almost anything about it besides of like the things about it, and he barely talked about it, so that was kind of disappointing. But I liked but on the flip side, really cool hearing about Gunslinger Girl, cool things hearing about Invader Zim, and certain things like that, like the doujinshi aspect was really cool. The thing with this video, it feels very unstructured. For a 2-hour video, you got to be pretty compelling to and I think that gratefully Hazel has a really great delivery, great scripting, and making it interesting as often as possible. But it didn't feel like it had a structure or a driving momentum and building upon itself. It didn't feel like a well-constructed experience for me personally. All the discussion of Elfen Lied itself felt very all over the place, and it's like where the only part of it that felt focused was you specifically talking about Lucy at the end, and that part was compelling, and I was able to keep my attention the whole time. This is as someone who has not seen Elfen Lied and has not read Elfen Lied. All the stuff in the beginning part, talking about it for like 20 minutes, it was engaging moment to moment, but then by the time it passed and it felt like it was going to another section, I looked back, I was like, what did I learn from that? It's like, what did I take away from that? You know what I mean? There wasn't much of a structure to it, and not like you have to have a part 1, part 2 type of thing, but there was a reason people use it like that. If you have a big video like this too, keeping the audience on the same train track and guiding them through it, I think there's something to be said about it. But just the daily, the kind of content here, I think is really impactful. I think your presence on camera was really interesting and great. Especially the personal stories were interesting. Oh, but the one thing also I wanted to mention about it, this is something I talked about with one of MathWiz's videos. And it's something I'm guilty of with some of my content, a lot of my earlier content too. And it's something like, I think if you edit your own videos, it's certainly something tempting to do, and you do it a lot here. And it's using text and like, not just like saying the title or like just randomly using text. I mean, like, you have a comment you want to add when you're like post editing and stuff, and when you're editing it, and you have you type in these huge paragraphs, and I paused occasionally, but there was a lot of times where I was like, I don't feel the need to pause it. I don't want to cut off the momentum that this video was having. It was getting me in a particular train of thought, and slapping these big paragraphs in, it's like, just make it part of the script then. If you really want to say this bit, just add it to record more. And you know, the idea of recording again, re-recording, is a kind of a bitch. I get it, and not sound the audio might not sound the same, or you don't have access to the same resources or something like that, or it's a hassle. And I get it. I would rather you like either record that big paragraph so I don't need to pause, or like I get like also like the script, like it's intrusive, like to have that little bit. You can't really put that in the script so much, but it's like I get those certain decisions, or it's like a correction or something like that. Although with corrections in videos, it's like it's a give and take. Like I can't completely dissuade it because I've done this in my own videos too. But it's just, especially with how often it happened in this big fucking video, over 2 hour video. And you just have these big paragraphs that people have to pause and they read it for like 30 seconds. It adds, the video is much longer than it looks, than it is, because you added those big chunks of text. And it's not always a good idea, is in my opinion. I think some of those things, like I especially related to one paragraph where you were talking about, I wanted to use this song, the I'm Not Okay, My Chemical Romance song for this section, but you couldn't because of copyright, because I've dealt with that. I actually commented on your video with my main account mentioning that. But yeah, I'm totally with you there. And those bits, yeah, I get it. You could put you can have that in there, and that's fine. But I don't know. For how often it happened, it was starting to be like, this is getting ridiculous. That was just my perspective on that aspect. But, you know, I really like the focus. I really like that you were explicit saying this wasn't a review, and the concept behind this, and focusing on the fans and why we resonate with this media and what Lucy represents to people. That conclusion was really interesting, and really good video on Elfin Lead. Honestly, really, really good video. I liked it a lot. Guys, so I was also recommended this other channel. Thank you everyone who sends videos my way, because a lot of these I wouldn't know. But holy shit, Naoki Urasawa, he does Manben, this Japanese TV show where he visits various mangaka. He's gonna visit Yasuhiro Yasuhiko. I don't know if I pronounced that. the Gundam the Origin author. He's gonna visit him in one of the episodes. I'm so excited for that. But holy shit, he just has his own YouTube channel now, and this was like an introductory video, and it's subbed in English, which I'm thankful as fuck for. Thank you, God. And it was really, I really liked. He's like, I don't know YouTube, so how am I supposed to act? And they're like, he was getting comments of like, man, Urasawa should write another manga, and he's like, but I am. It's right here. He's like, he's like, my staff told me I should make a YouTube channel to promote it, so that's what this is for. But I thought that was really, that's great. And he's saying, he's also saying like, I want to have other ideas, and I like that he was like playing, he played some music, and that was music for the video, and a good chunk of the video was him drawing the channel banner, and that sort of thing was really great. Man, it's so cool to see. He was also talking about how he wants to do it for more younger art, for more up and coming manga artists, for Manben. But Manben is we kind of have to have the bigger names, kind of the more mainstream popular mangaka. And he's like, well, there's a lot of these up and comers I want to talk to, but don't get a chance to on that particular program. So he's like, maybe this could be an outlet. And also, for how many people draw digitally these days, it's sort of a different thing. So yeah, that's really exciting. Guys, fuck it. This is just just a general PSA. Fucking Naoki Urasawa, the author of Monster, 20th Century Boys, Pluto. He has a fucking YouTube channel, guys. Holy fuck. That's so dope. Oh my God, I can't. Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to more videos. Yes, I'm just so excited. And lastly, oh man, I've talked so much. Boy, but it's been a good digest. It's been a very good digest. All those videos I was super happy with and excited for, and it could have been best of the week, any of them. But man, this Lines in Motion video blew my dick. I'm sorry, I should say that. Oh man, it was so sick. It was so good. Like if you don't know Lines of Motion, it's she's similar to like Funibure, where like you look at their sub count and you get visibly angry. You're like, why don't you have 100K already? What's going on? What's the injustice, cruelty of this world? Oh my goodness. So this is about Blue Period, the dichotomy between talent and hard work, and it's so interesting. So like the idea with talent and hard work is something that's in like Naruto, and it's in Ping Pong very especially. The relationship with talent and hard work is really like some of the things that Lines of Motion speaks in this video could be applied to Ping Pong too. But as broad of a subject this has been explored in other media, I like that Lines of Motion did keep it very centralized to Blue Period and learning, exploring this idea through just this manga and learning more about it. And it didn't feel like a summary at all. I didn't even know like the idea of this character until she starts describing it like partway into the video, and I'm like, wow, oh, okay, interesting. And it didn't feel like that, like kind of a review or something like that. This is a good time to do it before the anime gets made. It did get a PV recently, so we'll probably be hearing about it a lot more soon, and I hope this video gets traction because of it. Oh my gosh, because it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh. So the craft here on display. And I like that Lines in Motion said at the end of the video that this is kind of a personal subject for me, because then I don't have to put words in her mouth, because now I can be like, I could feel that. I can feel that this video with like the idea of talent as kind of a derogatory term for artists, because it completely undermines the hard work and effort and the time it takes. And her describing that in this video while she's doing these kind of time-consuming edits, and maybe you'll downplay it. Oh, it's not that time-consuming or something. I'm sure you'll say something, but like this video gave me like an anxiety of how much like it was doing something different and showing a different panel, and each one had motion and stuff happening, and it just looked gorgeous every fucking second. And like for every other sentence, if not every other sentence, every half sentence, like you would have two unique, interesting things going on in the middle of a sentence, and it, like doing that, it was so beautiful. And like, and just the amount of effort that this video is demonstrating, and the talent and the hard work sort of thing. It's sort of like, it was sort of like almost not a humble brag. I shouldn't say that, but it really was like using the video as being like, don't call this, what you're seeing right here, talent. It's hard work. It's learning about it and getting better and having the ambition to do this. Here's the motivation is such a core problem with artists. It's like all of us, it's like, we want to get to this point, but it's the amount of hard work there is to get there, but also just like the investment and emotional investment too. Of like, and like to make a video like this, and you gotta have a lot of personal stake in it, and being like constantly motivating yourself to get it to this point, and getting it to this level of quality. It's not just talent or hard work and putting in the work, but also just getting the motivation to do it. I love this video very subliminally embodies the ideas that it's presenting in its presentation. That's what I'm talking about with like Noralities video, where it's like there needs to be sort of something in the video craft itself. And maybe this is just someone who is more of a nerd for like, gorgeous videos or something like that. And, as someone who's made a lot of videos that are like really high intensive work, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, yeah, there's a camaraderie there. There is like oh my God, I know what you mean. Just the simple of moving these panels together, but also just like getting these certain effects and choosing it, and the animations that Mr. Nice Guy was doing. Like I assumed that like it's another instance of Nice Guy. This happened last week too with Cartoon Cypher, where Nice Guy kind of like he blends perfectly with the style with what Lines of Motion is doing. It didn't feel like, oh, this is something Mr. Nice Guy did. There's no, it doesn't feel like, it feels completely integrated. It doesn't feel one or the other. It just feels completely natural and clicks amazing. But then, the actual textual analysis of here felt very thorough and interesting without it feeling like plot summary or anything. I'm just repeating myself at this point. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I just love the video a lot. Yeah, I just think it's neat. Awesome video. Holy shit. Yeah. And that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Austin, Boo, Kuiper, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Nicholas, Saxon, Unique Nameosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.